Okay, guys, we're live. I am Jake Robinson. I'm your host for Let's Talk Raw Land, and we've got a special guest on tonight, Adam Harrison. Say hello to everybody, Adam.
Hi.
Anyway, people are going to start filing in. We got 5 people in the room. It'll keep going up. Everybody do what Daniel just did. Say hello. Tell us where you're from. Daniel's like he's in every single interview so far out from Portland, Oregon. So thanks for being on, Daniel. If you're in the room, say hello to us. Tell us where you're from, and we're going to get started here. Here's what we're doing, guys. We're talking about how we buy and sell raw land, how we flip raw land. And when I first heard about flipping raw land, I was like, that can't be a thing. I mean, the people who invest in raw land buy it and hold it for like 20 years, and then the town grows out to where they're at, and they finally can sell it for a lot more money. I'm like, that is the most boring way ever to invest anything in anything to try to make money. Then my buddy told me that you can flip raw land, buy it for 25 to 35 cents on the dollar. And I just thought that was outrageous. Who would sell their land for that? And I learned about it, and I actually joined a membership where they teach you how to do that. And I'm learning how to do it, and I've started doing it. And I decided I wanted to interview people who already were successful at this. And I've had lots of different people on the show. I've had people that were like superstars, like Justin Sleva and Adam Southey, who run a podcast about it, and they've done tons of deals. And then I've interviewed some people out there that got started, ran out of money, kept going, got going again. And then, Adam, you've got kind of a unique story, because your story is, I think a lot of people can identify. You started with no money, no experience, no savings, no 401k, no silver spoon, and you still figured it out. You had lots of debt. You did have that. That's one thing you had going for you, lots of debt. How in the heck how did you get that going? I mean, how did you start with nothing? And by the way, where's the rest of the folks here? If you're in the room, say hello. Ellen, hey, Jake. Hey, Adam, waving at y'all here from Atlanta. Okay, thanks, Jake, for responding to my message in the LA forum. You're welcome, Ellen. It wasn't a whole lot of help, I don't know, but maybe you can figure that out. Anyway, if you're new to the show, say hello. If you're old to the show, say hello. Hey, Martha, where you hail from, Martha? Neil and watching and from DC. Chuck and Buddy. I'm out of money. I just started. That's Jason. That's my buddy. You still have bees though, Jason? I just installed 2 packages of bees yesterday. Howdy from Arizona. Martha's in Orlando. Okay, we got people from all over the place. By the way, where are you from, Adam?
I'm from LA, California.
Okay, is that where you are right now?
Yep, I'm right now. I'm in LA.
Okay.
I'm from LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us your story. How in the heck did you get into the land flipping business? And just kind of take me through what you're doing before you got into it, how you got into it. Then we'll just dig into your story, and maybe we can learn some stuff about land flipping.
I see. Okay. Well, through my whole life, I've been a computer person. I fix computers for a living. And in 2012, late 2012, I decided I was going to start a business. I had studied, I had gone to I had no real estate experience at all, really. I had gone to different seminars, but everyone's gone to different seminars and heard the spiel and stuff like that. But I had never done a deal, or I had no experience to think of. I had a lot of debt. I had no savings, really. No, I wasn't one of the people who come into land flipping with, $50, $100, $250,000. So in late 2012, I bought Jack Bosch's land profit generator, and I never had done anything with it, and I decided I was going to do something with it in late 2012, and I started studying it. And then in January 2013, I did my first mailing. I did it by hand. I just printed out the letters and then just sent
Old school.
Just old school. I just did it old school. I was like, okay, I'm going to make them. My hope was that I would get a lot of money on my first mailing. It didn't happen. I just continued.
Wait a minute, you had no results on the first mailing?
Not really.
Okay. And
I
then
just,
you kept mailing then? You did
yep,
more mail outs? Okay.
more mail outs to different areas,
And
right?
how many did you do before you hit a deal?
Honestly, I don't remember the exact number, probably thousands, but it's just one of those things. You just have to persist, right? Some people hit it big. They send out 500 letters and they get some deals, and some people don't. And the most important thing is you just persist and persist and persist until you get a product, until you get a deal, right? And
I
of
think you
course,
got a visitor.
I do. I do have a visitor, but it's okay. My attention is totally on you
All right, that's
and the
fine.
rest of the audience.
I like to have fun and make fun of you. So I thought that was funny, kind of peeking around the
Yes.
corner there. Oh yeah, I have
Yeah.
interviews with kids in the background, dogs in the background. Okay, go for it. I'm glad you were professional and maintain your focus, even though I didn't. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, just to continue my story. So I thought it was a deal. I bought a property. I bought it all. I bought it. I thought it was a great deal. I hired this abstractor to go and check the title, and the title was quote unquote okay, and it wasn't okay. It had a big $2,000 lien on it, right? So that was a total loss. So I just
Did you
continued.
wait? If he told you it's okay, when did you find out you had a $2,000 lien after you bought it or what?
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what was the lien for?
Back taxes. It had a tax lien.
And okay, explain to me, what is an abstractor? Because in Tennessee, we don't have those things. We might call it something different, though. A
Maybe you just
title
call it.
searcher?
Yeah, I mean that's the gist of it. It's a title searcher. It's
Okay.
someone who searches the title and just they're supposed to make sure the title is clean, right? Because for the smaller deals, if it's some big huge deal, yeah, you're going to go through a whole title company and they're going to charge you $1,000 and all this kind of stuff, right? But for a smaller deal, I just hired an abstractor because I wanted title checked and I didn't have the money to pay for a title company, and they told me the title was clean, and then I found out about the lien. So
Can you
I
not hold those guys responsible for that?
you should be able to, but I don't
It
know.
takes
I
money.
don't. It took
It probably
money.
takes.
It takes money to sue them. So
Right.
I ended up just donating the property to charity. I just continued sending out letters, doing more things, and then I did my
Okay.
first successful flip.
I threw that up there. Martha said hello. She said hi, Adam. All right.
Hi, Martha.
So I want to ask you, what was the property worth retail, do you think?
Well, I had studied all kinds of things, and my concept was that it was worth $4,000 to $6,000 based off
Okay.
of what was listed,
Yeah.
similar listed comps,
Yep.
right? Little did I know that if I was going to sell it anytime soon, the actual strike price was 2,000, right? I could get 4,000 if I was willing to wait, 6 months, a year,
Yeah.
year and a half, 2 years. But that was not really what I was looking for, right?
So if it's a loss anyway, why not just sit on it, put it up for sale, and when you sold it for more than what you bought it, what did you buy it for? Do you remember?
2,000.
Oh, you'd have to sell it for 4,000 just to break even. Okay, gotcha. So it'd probably be better to write that off.
Yeah, I just wrote it off. So wrote it off on my taxes, continued. And I had saved up money for some time to be able to have a little bit of, because keep in mind, I didn't have any money.
Right.
So it wasn't like I just had this money when I started. I had this money in my bank account. I didn't. So it was a real loss.
So you were scrimping and saving, putting money in the bank, so you had a grub stake to make your first deal with. So
Yeah,
did you have to like put it on pause until you could save up some more money, or what?
a little bit. Well, this is what happened. I just continued. I just said, okay, well, I lost that. I learned from it, and I just continued. I sent out more letters. I found a property, same area, but this one I got for $1,000, right? And I didn't do an abstractor. I didn't hire anyone. I actually just did it myself because I was like, why am I going to pay this? Why am I going to pay
Hmm.
people to mess up, right?
Exactly.
So I did it myself. I checked everything myself. I looked in the records of the county. I did everything. Then I sold it. I sold it for $2,000. I made my first $1,000, and I was like, wow, this is just so easy.
And
I
you
mean, it's
doubled
not
your money.
easy. I
You
doubled my
doubled your
money.
money. Over
I mean,
what period of time?
It must have been like a month. I think it was a month to sell that first property.
I mean, that's 100% return in 1 month. So that's a 1,200% return annually if you want to extrapolate that. But
So
yeah, so that had to feel good. So that gave you a big positive boost. But you were doing this Jack Bosch method at that point, which is what
yeah.
is it? Is it letters? Is it postcards? What is that? What is that system? I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, well, Jack Bosch, I was using Jack Bosch, Land Profit Generator 1.0. He's long since updated it. At that time, it was sending out, he had a couple of different kinds of letters. One of them, he still has these. One of them is just what's called a neutral letter, which is just a general letter of intent, like, hey, I'm interested in buying your property. Second one was a letter with an offer. At the time, I was just sending out just general letters of interest, the letter number one. And I had people calling me, and some of them wanted like $1 million. They were like, "Oh, my lot, even though it's assessed by the county at 5,000, it's really worth $1 million or whatever."
Yeah.
You know how people are.
Yeah, but at the same time, because you didn't give them a specific amount, you had anybody that was thinking about selling calling you, thinking you might have a lot of money and they're going to get the retail price. How long did it take
Exactly.
you? How long did it take you to figure out? Wait a minute, this is probably not the best way to do it because I'm getting a lot of response of people that I'm never going to buy from.
Well, it's really interesting. I did that for some time. I did a little bit. Jack Bosch talks about blind offers as well, and I did a little bit of that. And I really didn't get really heavy duty into blind offers got into until I actually I stumbled upon Land Academy. I was on like Lands of America or one of these land sites, and there was a account which is a Land Academy account, and I was like, Land Academy, what's that? And I thought, well, I'll just check it out. Anyway, I ended up checking it out. Jill was kind enough to do a free call with me, and I kind of
Wow.
got hip to the Land Academy, blind offers thing,
Right.
right? And I
The
started sending out
methodology.
the methodology. At the time, I didn't have the Land Academy program, so Jack Bosch had a letter, which is a blind offer letter, which is a really good letter, and I just started sending out a lot of blind offers, and I got cussed out. People, you know, it sounded like they were throwing a fit. They were stamping on my letter, they're cursing my letter, but then you had some people sending back the letter signed, and it
Well,
just
see,
saved me a lot of time.
I've not experienced that yet. I've sent out, well, that's a different story. I sent out 3,600 letters on my last mailing, and I totally botched it, and I hadn't had one single response, a positive response. I had a lot of hate calls, but no positive response. I paid Adam Southey for a consulting session, and he showed me 3 different ways that I screwed it up. But now I'm totally confident. Now I know what not to do, and I know where I messed up. So I know how to get back on track. Hey, do me a favor, pull your adjust your camera down just a little bit there. There you go, a little bit more maybe. And, all right, yeah, we can see your face much better at that angle. I don't know why it was
Okay,
moving there.
yeah,
All right,
that's good.
so you were doing that. So you learned you had a free call with Jill, and she showed you how to do it, but you kept using Jack Bosch's program. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I mixed programs. Honestly, I think it's
Did you
almost like
join the
tools in it.
program?
Yes, I bought the Land Academy program, but what happened is I spoke to Jill and I had to create the money to buy the program. So what I did is I just continued. I took some of the ideas that I learned from her and from the free podcast. I just marketed and marketed and marketed and created the money, and then I bought the Land Academy program. And I kind of view it's like tools in a toolbox, right? There's some things that I've taken from Land Academy. There's some things I've taken from Jack. There's some things Seth was really, when I first started, Seth was kind enough. I wrote Seth, and
Seth Williams, for those
Seth
that don't
Williams.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
he's a
And
big blogger.
he's a huge blogger, really smart guy. He gave me some ideas, and I took those as well, right? So it's just different tools in the toolbox.
Okay. And then what happened after that?
Well, I just continue doing it, and I just continue to pull in more tools and learn more and expand and expand
Well,
and expand.
you start doing deals. I take it then.
No. I'd already been doing deals, but I just
Okay.
continued as I got more tools, I got more experience, and I got more tools in my toolbox. I was better able to market and better able to get deals and better able to flip properties. I always be grateful to what? Oh,
No,
you're gonna
go
say
ahead.
something?
I'm
Yeah,
listening. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I appreciate Jack and his program because that's what got me into land flipping. But I'm also grateful for Jill and for Steve, uh, Jill DeWitt and Steve Utella because a lot of their, I mean, they have a really unique way of doing it, and they've really helped my business.
Great. So
And it's a great, solid program.
bring me up to date. How many deals or so? Do you know how many deals you've done since you did that one double your money deal?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know. Probably right now, right off the top of my head, I would say easily 50, 60 deals, easily.
Over what time frame?
Over, well, it's funny because I started in 2013, but I actually took a few years off from my education, right? So we're
Right.
talking, even though there's several years have passed, I would say that I was really, really working on land flipping for only maybe 3 years, almost 3.5 years. So it's about 60 deals, right?
Okay.
And it's really every deal, you learn something new, and as you get more competent, you can do it faster and faster and faster.
Okay. Well, since you've started out rough, you said you had some issues. I had a question here, and this is from Scott and Denise, and they're asking, what was your biggest? This came in through the survey. By the way, guys, if you're in the room and you register for the webinar, take a minute and fill out the survey. It's like a 5 or 6 question survey. It's pretty quick. It just basically gives me more information about what you're interested in, and I can bring better value to the interviews. But one of the questions in the survey was, what was your biggest hurdle personally in your business? So I guess do you have some personal hurdles you had to deal with, or what was your biggest business hurdle?
Oh my goodness, there's been so many hurdles. I remember I remember in 2016, late 2016, I just finished a bunch of, so I took a few years off from my education. So I just finished a big chapter in that journey. And I came back late 2016, I came back to land flipping. And then, as luck would have it, I ended up injuring my arm, right? And I was out of work for months, right? And I had a little bit of inventory, but I had to like flip that inventory and just wholesale that inventory and sell it quickly because now I had to have money to live off of. And I had money for medical expenses. So at the end of 2016, early 2017, I was basically wiped out. I was wiped out. I was at square zero again with no
Oh,
money
wow.
again, right? So that was one of my most difficult hurdles, right? And I just had to I remember one time I got a signed offer back, and the offer was for a 5 acre property, and it was for $700 or $800. It was nothing, and I didn't even have the
Wow.
money to close that.
And you didn't think about maybe going to get a friend and a partner,
I
or
didn't. It's a good idea. I mean, I didn't have anyone to go to really. I didn't really
okay.
have anyone to go to at that time. My idea was to keep the deal for myself and to somehow put together the money. And I was trying to do different things and talking to different
Were you
people.
working at that point?
I had gone back to work, right? But still, I didn't have. I just gotten back to work. I didn't have a lot of money, right? So I was trying to go ahead.
So I guess I'm trying to figure out, were you like trying to go this full time for a while and then ran out of money and went back to work, got hurt, had to go back to work? I mean, or have you always had a job and doing this part time in the background?
I've always had a job and doing it part time. I haven't. What happened is I got injured, and then I had some stock of properties left, a handful of them, and I had to sell them cheap because I needed money to live off of. It wasn't. It was just my arm was injured, right?
Right.
So I couldn't do my job, and I was
Okay.
supposed to get. Yeah. Anyway, I was supposed to get some money for disability, but that was just taking its sweet time. And in the
Yeah.
meantime, I had bills to pay.
You had to
I had
get
to
on with
pay.
life.
I had to get on with life, and I just had to liquidate my holdings. And at the time, I didn't have a lot, but I had enough to support myself for a few months.
So I don't know if you can delineate that from being a personal hurdle and or a business hurdle. It sounds like a combination hurdle, like a
It,
double hurdle.
it was.
Uh, and have you since 2016? Have you had any business hurdles that you've had to deal with that rival that?
nothing that rivaled that. I mean, it's just been it's just been a matter of learning from people who are a lot more successful than me and just kind of like trying to level up my game. Like Justin Sleva, Adam Southey, I have huge amounts of respect for them. I have to, speaking of getting consulting, one of these days I'm going to get some consulting from them because I think I have a lot of respect for them. I've also, since those days, I've kind of expanded the people I know. I've kind of expanded my circle. I was lucky enough to, it's actually really funny because I listed a property that was in a county. I bought a property from another investor. I never invested in the county before. It turned out I overpaid for the property. I ended up listing it on an auction site, and the guy who bought it from me was an experienced investor. And at the end of the transaction, he's like, "Hey, if you want any mentoring, it's cool. Let's talk." And now I have another,
You've got
wonderful source of information.
so this person kind of took you under his wing and taught you some things.
Oh, totally. And I so appreciate it. I so appreciate it. In fact, I did a mailing out of my own money. I did my own mailing, and I sent him probably $30,000 in deals just as a thank you. Like, I didn't
Wow.
ask for any piece of it. I just said, hey, here's some signed offers, acceptances. It's
Wow,
probably
man.
worth $30,000 here. But it's fine because it's no big deal because the value that he brought to my life, it's priceless because now there's a lot of things that I can do in a lot of areas that I'm now familiar with.
Well,
That
name one or two or three of those things that he taught you. What?
oh, it's very valuable information. Like for example, it's stuff that probably none of the coaches in any of the programs would ever really teach you. Like for example, I'm going to say, like he would say, well, Adam, XYZ county. I would say, okay, well, I want to make X number of dollars. Like what counties should I aim for, and what kind of offer prices would I need to make? And he would say, well, Adam, if you go to this county, what you can do is you can offer, I'm just making up some numbers, right?
Okay.
You can offer $500 an acre, right? That's the wholesale. That's if you offer 500, all the other investors are offering 350 to 400. If you offer 500, you'll get a lot of deals. And then what you can do is you can flip that, and you can I flipped it in that area, and you can flip it for 1,000. And here's some different price points for different acreage. The wholesale price for 20 acres in this area is X. The wholesale price for 40 acres in this area is Y. Most investors offer A, B, C, and it's like, how much is that going to cost? From my experience, that's the hardest part of land investing, right? That's one of the hardest parts because no matter what pricing to me, because no matter how much something is listed on a website for, some of those website listings are like way, way, way off. Like people selling stuff for 2 or 3 or 4 times retail price. And that's what messed me up on my first deal. So,
because you assume those were. So how did this guy know so much about a particular? How did he know there are other investors in there offering $300 to $400 an acre? And I mean, that guy must have had. How do you have your ear to the ground to find out that kind of information?
well, because he's a property owner, so he owns stuff under his own name. So he gets the offer letters from everybody else.
Oh, okay.
But he's also an investor.
So as you have built up your inventory again, do you have properties in inventory right now?
Oh yeah, I have like 80 properties in inventory.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So are you starting to get offers on those from other investors?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I get letters in some areas. I get letters practically every day, every week.
Really? So do you save any of those letters to kind of as a kind of a to analyze and see which ones draw your attention that compare how quality an offer may be versus what you're sending out? Does it help you at all?
Yeah, it does. It's useful. I mean, you
Like
see
a
what
swipe file.
yeah, you see
In
what other
marketing.
people exactly. You see what other people are offering, and you can just you could say, okay, well, they're offering X and Y county, and then if you start getting a million offers from a property you own in a particular county, you go, okay, well, this county is like really saturated. Am I going to
Okay.
send out more offers in that area?
Okay. So that brings me to a question, because this is always kind of that thing where they say, if you mail to this county, don't mail to that county for like a year. Give it some time. Have you ever mailed to the same county twice?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I have. I mean,
And
I've
what
mailed to
time frame?
every few months, but it's
Really?
different
Okay.
for different. It's different for different counties. I mean, I remember when I first started land flipping, there was one area I became familiar with, right? And I could always know I could go back to that area and mail again, and then I would get some deals, right? I could go back and I could mail again, and I would try to go. A lot of people are like, well, go to different areas, and that's good, and that's true, and that's correct. But when you go to different areas, you also have to be willing to lose money because
Right,
you're
because
sending out
you're
letters.
learning. Right.
You're sending out letters, and the offer price may be wrong, or just for whatever reason, it could just be a poor response rate. So you have to have areas where you can go to and generate cash quickly.
Yeah, I've said this before, and I don't know if you saw the Travis Keller interview, but he had sent out an offer to a county, and he realized it was way too low. He waited 1 month and sent out an offer to the exact same people, just raised his price and did several deals, 4 or 5 deals. So it obviously does work, because everybody has a different situation when that letter arrives. Sometimes they don't open in the first one and don't read it, or don't read it carefully, or something's going on in the background, and then the second time you send it, you got their attention. So, so you figured out that certain counties you can go back and milk the cow more than once. So,
Exactly. Exactly. You just milk it over and over again, and it's like you milk it, you get some money, you do some letters to that county, and you do some letters to maybe another county that you're not familiar with, right?
well,
And
when you mail the same county though, do you change up the size offer so that you're not mailing to the exact same people? Like you mail to 5 to 10 acres and come back and mail 10 to 15 acres. Do you ever do that, or just do the same thing?
well, yeah, you can change the acreage. At the time when right now I'm more into expanding and going to different areas because what happened is I got my mentor, and there's different areas that he's familiar with, right? There's areas that I'm familiar with, but there's a lot more areas that he's familiar with. Like one of the areas he's familiar with is West Texas, and I was just telling you about the offline about how I've become more familiar with Texas, and that's directly as a result of his help and his what he's taught me. I become more familiar with West Texas, and
Well, I
I
heard
just
Texas is tough because there's a lot of counties where you can't get the information, and they don't have it available.
yes, but if you know people who can get the information, then you have a strategic advantage,
Okay, how
right?
do you do
If you
that?
Well, if you just network with people, if you know people who are property owners, or you know people who are other investors in the area, and they might know someone who is able to get information on those counties,
Are you
right, or
talking
on
about
that
like a
county.
like a county official, another right county official that'll go pull the public documents for you, or what?
Well, not county officials, but like, you know, people that you may know someone at a title company who's willing to, you could pay someone who's a professional to pull the information. Some counties are just messes, and there's nobody who
Right,
can do anything with it, period. Like there's one
right.
county in Texas, it's like you can send out mailers to that county. Not a lot of people do send out mailers to that county. You can pull data in Core Logic, and it's great. It's like, okay, so you pull data in Core Logic, and the data in Core Logic is a great company, but the data is wrong because the county records are so messed up, right? They're just so messed up. It's like nobody can make heads or tails out of them.
So wouldn't it be better just to move on to a different state where it's easier, or do you find the fact that if you can find a place like that and crack the code, you have almost no competition?
Yeah, well, if you network with people and you meet someone who has cracked the code and you help that person or you help those people, other investors, right, and you bring value to their lives, and then they may show you things and they may help you. Um, that's what you try to do. Is I just try to bring value. I'm not at the Justin Sleeve level, but I try to learn from
Right.
other master investors and I try to bring value to their lives, and they help me with things that bring value to my life. For example, I just purchased a property in West Texas, actually 6 properties in West Texas, They had extensive back taxes, but I paid $100 each, 240 acres, 640-acre
Wow.
properties, $600, right?
How did you want? Did you make that offer to the county? They accepted or what?
No, it wasn't it wasn't a tax deed situation. It was just a seller, right? And what happened is I was working with another investor, and I'd helped them because I'd done a mailing for them, right? And some deals had come in, right? And one of the deals that had come in was this gentleman who had all these properties and he was trying to get rid of it. And the other investor I was working with was like, hey, it has too many back taxes for me. I don't want to deal with that. And he's like, if you want to deal with it, it's cool. And I just said, okay, well, I pulled all the information on the back taxes and I said, okay, I wrote the guy a letter. I wrote the guy an offer, kind of taking, in this case, I kind of took the Jack Bosch approach and I said, hey, you have all these back taxes. My total offer is going to be XYZ, but you have all these back taxes. And this is what I can do, $100 a property.
Oh,
Right?
okay. So you netted out in other words, instead of paying them back taxes, you just paid them a really low price on the property and accepted the back taxes, and your
Yeah.
net investment was still low enough to make profit.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I've done that before. I did it. I bought 2 5-acre properties one time for $300 total, right? And then I just turned it around. I just listed it as an investor special or a property special, $1,000 each. You assume the back taxes,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And then I just told the buyers, I was just really upfront and open with the buyers and said, hey, this property has back taxes. I'm listing it for sale for $1,000 and you have to pay the back taxes. Made an easy $1,700.
So what were the back taxes? Do you remember?
About $2,000.
Okay. So, because I guess what people don't realize, you could buy somebody's property that has back taxes and then sell it to somebody else and never pay the back taxes, let them pay it, right?
Exactly. That's
And just
exactly what you can do.
take the cut in the middle. Sanju's wanting to know if that county that's so messed up in Texas, is that Hudspeth
No,
County?
it's believe it or not, Hudspeth is pretty messed up. But believe it or not, there's
Must be.
counties that are even more messed up than Hudspeth. This county, I can't recall the name of it right off the top of my head, but it's around that area. And it's so messed up. You go to the county for records of, say, people who own 40-acre properties, and the county records are wrong. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Isn't
That's
it just crazy?
that's their only job. It's just to keep the record straight on properties. You think
Yeah.
they've been there for a couple hundred years. They could get that right eventually. So pull your. I don't know why your camera
I don't know
keeps
why it keeps
inching.
on itching up.
It's one. Okay, there you go.
Okay. Let me do that.
So Edgar's got. So let's switch gears here. He's wanting to know, like, how do you sell your properties? What source do you use to sell these properties? Also, do you know if the land will sell once you buy it? How do you know the land will sell once you buy it?
Well, nothing is absolute. You never know 100%, but I have enough experience at this point to have an idea of what will sell and what won't sell. And there's certain areas that I'm really, really familiar with, and I know that stuff will sell and what price they'll sell at. And it's just trial and error. It's been like hard fought knowledge. And also, I've networked with people, and then I get the information from them as to what stuff will sell for, right?
All right, dude, we're going to have to stop here and go back into all this networking you're doing. How in the heck do you do all this networking? Do you belong to clubs, groups? Do you do meetup groups and live, or do you have mastermind groups? Where are you getting all these people that you're exchanging value for value with?
Well, one of them, it was really funny. I sent out a whole bunch of letters to property owners in Colorado, and I sent out letters, and I was sending out letters again, and then I got this letter back, and it said, "Dear Adam, my name is blah blah blah, and I'm an investor as well, and I'm looking for XYZ. Let's talk." Right? So I called the guy up.
XYZ meaning a certain type of property.
Certain criteria, and I called the guy up. I said, "Hey, I want to bring value to your life. What kind of properties are you looking for? What are you looking for?" And just trying to help them, right? So
I've never had anybody say, "I want to bring value to your life."
Yeah,
I mean, that's an interesting way to put something. That's like, really? Why would you want to do that? But I get it. It's just I've never had anybody say that, so I'm not picking on you. But I told you I'm going to pick on you.
Well, it's okay. I can have you picking on me. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out what they need, and I can flip stuff to them, and also
Right.
they can teach me stuff as I'm working for them and work trying to get larger property, more valuable properties for them. They can teach me values and they can teach me information on areas that I may not be familiar with.
And you just
Right?
do this over the phone or whatever.
Over the
I mean, the
phone.
network.
Exactly. There was another guy I was just telling you about before. I sold a property. It was really funny. He bid on my property, and I sold it to him. I actually sold it to him at a loss. Right. I I bought the property. I overvalued the property. He bought it from me for probably $700 or $800 less than I had bought it for. So I was really initially I was like really disappointed, and then I started. I sold it to the guy. I started talking with him. Turned out he was a millionaire real estate investor. He bought and sold land all over the place. Said before we started talking, and the rest is history. I'm a member of a number of mastermind groups. And then also I do like a lot of studying, right? And a lot of this stuff is kind of just a controlled experience. Like it's just a trial and error, right? It's an educated guess as to what something's going to sell for and what it's worth. It's an educated guess, right? And
Uh,
that's all you can
and
really
so,
do.
so when Edgar is asking how you know the land is going to sell once you buy it, because you paid for it the right way. You paid the right price for it. You made your money when you bought it. Is this correct?
That's exactly right.
Okay. So, and then one other thing about this networking stuff. I mean, when you say you mentioned a few minutes ago that you sent out a mailer for somebody for another
Yeah.
investor. Okay. Why would you do that?
Well, because I want to get some, I want a couple reasons. I was going to send out mailers to a different area anyway, right?
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter. I was going to send out. What happened is I spoke to the other investor, and we were going to work out. It was agreed that a piece of the mailing would come back to me, right? And the guy was very generous. He got some deals. I did the mailing, and we got some deals. And he's like, "Hey, Adam, thank you so much for helping with the mailer. Here's 3 properties,
Okay. But
three
why were
thousand
you helping?
dollars."
Why did you? Why? I mean, how does that happen though? How does two different investors say, "Hey, let me do a mailer for you," or let's do a mailer together? I mean, how did that happen?
Well, you
I'm
just have
trying to
to
understand
go
this.
off. Okay. Well, what happened is I had sold him the property, and we got into talking, right? And I found that he was a font of great information, right? And I was interested in going into one of the areas that he was telling me about, and I was interested in going in there anyway, right? So I decided I was like, okay, well, I want to go into this area anyway, and we spoke about doing the mailing, and it was like, okay, how is this going to work? And he's like, well, I can do a finder's fee, or we can work things out so you get compensated for your time and your effort. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I did the mailing. It was like 600 or 700 letters. We got, we got some deals. I sent him a whole bunch of deals, right? And he got some good properties. And then he just, as a thank you, he said, okay, well, Adam, here's 3 properties. It was 1 10-acre property, 2 5-acre properties, right?
Wait a minute. He gave you the deals so you could buy them, or he gave you like, here's the properties, you can have them.
No, here's the properties. You can have them.
Oh wow!
So
So this value for value actually works. No,
yeah,
I
so I
get it,
gave,
and I believe in helping other people. I believe in networking. That's why I do these webinars.
yeah,
By you coming on here, you're not just answering my question. I'm hoping that you guys are in the chat room, the attendees here. I hope you guys are getting good value out of these interviews, and please ask questions. If you guys are sitting out there, so we'll go into selling the properties in a minute. We'll come back to that question, Ecker. Um, let's see what Jason has to say here. Jason is saying, I like that. I think when you get to where I can do that, I will. I think it's a great idea to do a mailer for someone. Luke Smith is doing that. He's like giving away mailers now, or you can just pay him and he'll do the mailer. He'll do everything, and I'll just give you half of the profits. Like, why even be in the business? Let him do it for you.
I have to network with Luke Smith. I have a huge amount of respect for Luke Smith. He's another rock star.
You
Exactly.
said, have you worked with him at all? Or you say you just
No,
okay?
I haven't worked with Luke
Interesting.
Smith, but I'm interested in it. I'm open to working with everybody, and I
Well,
think
see, I do have an idea that I'm working on right now, which is I'm building a list of people that uh, they tell me what kind of property they're actually looking for. They want to
yeah,
buy a property in the desert, or they want to buy a property in the woods. They want it to be a cabin property, like to have a river next to it. They want to be next to an ocean or whatever. And I'm just stockpiling all these profiles, and I'm thinking, if there's a way to network with you and a bunch of other investors and say, hey, all these people are looking for these properties. I don't have them. Maybe we can make some kind of quid pro quo where you pay a small fee and you sell them a property, and people who put those profiles in. I don't know. I'm still working it out in my mind. So anyway, okay. So Martha Daisley is asking, who is Luke Smith? I need to do a mailer for me. Luke has been doing. He's been doing Land Academy, which is the program that me and Adam are part of, and probably almost every guest I've had on here. Luke is one of the early guys that got on there, and he buys and sells a ton of properties. And his main claim to fame is on Monday mornings. He gets on YouTube and does a live webinar, and he shows you a property that he's selling. But during that live webinar on YouTube, he literally, at the end of it, he gives away a mailer to the first person or the fifth person or the seventh person who can answer the trivial question and you have to be paying attention and be listening, because it's something he says in his presentation during that 1 hour, about an hour. And at the end of it, he's going to quiz you. Whoever comes up with the right answer and happens to be the right number person gets a free mailer. So he's just really good at selling properties, Martha. And he's actually created some tools, by the way, and we'll talk more about that. Rural Vacant Land is what Sanju is saying. That's his name of his company, Rural Vacant Land. You can find him on YouTube channel or website, ruralvacantland.com. Okay. And Jason said, I got two people who want property in a neighboring county. I need to do a mailer for them. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, tell me how do you have what's your methodology or steps to price a county or choose a county? Now, let's say you're going to do a new county you've never done before. You get an inkling, I think I want to try that county in that state. What steps do you go through to do your research to price a county?
Well, ideally, the county would have sold comps available. All counties don't, obviously, but if they have sold comps available, then I would just look through the sold comps and trying to get an idea of what's selling for how much in that county, right?
Sold comps, and where do you get what websites are you doing to get that?
Well, you can get them from a lot of websites. Some counties have them available. Like, for example, in many counties in Colorado, you can get the sold comps directly from the county, right? If you can't get them directly from the county, you can get them from, sometimes they're available on, depending on how valuable the property is, you can get them from
Land
places
and Farm or Lands
Land
of
and Farm,
America.
Land in
Is that where
America.
you go? Is that where you go to those kind of websites?
Yes, Land Watch, Land and Farm, Land of America. But not only those, I also go to websites like Craigslist. I even go to look at sold properties on eBay, because I've seen some properties that sell for a lot on Lands of America, and then on other websites they're not selling for that much. Excuse me, listed for a lot on Lands of America, and on other websites are not selling for that much. So I just try to go on. I also go on Luke's website. I go to Land Century, right?
Okay. I'm not familiar with Land Century.
Yeah, I go to Land Century. I can see what's sold on Land Century. I just try to get an idea of what's listed and what's sold in the area, right?
And do you do you go to several different websites to make sure you're getting a good crossover, or you just go one website and pull some data from it?
Oh, no. You want to go to several websites. Websites and get an idea, because just one website, it doesn't really tell you much.
Are you doing what most people do, is clip and paste and put it in a spreadsheet?
I actually should do that, and I'm going to go to doing that, but
So you're
I
still
haven't
doing
been
it
doing
old
that.
school, huh?
I'm
You
still
do it
doing it
all
old
up
school.
here.
I'm doing it all up
Okay.
here, exactly. Although
Okay.
I need to actually do it in a spreadsheet. It's a good idea to do it in a
Okay.
spreadsheet. I'll be honest with you. I'm interested in going to other counties, but a lot of my time has been sucked into doing these counties that I just became familiar with through the networking, like counties in Texas. And for those counties, there's certain counties I don't need to go and do a bunch of research because I know people that are there, and I just ask somebody, well, how much does a property in XYZ county, how much does it usually go for?
Okay.
And
And
how
so,
much can I buy it for? And it's I know that's kind of cheating and that doesn't help anyone in the call, but that's the honest truth. If I want to
well,
price it, I have to do the research.
what you're really saying is, hey, you need to get to know people, get to know me, and get to know some folks. By the way, Martha was Ellen. I guess it's Martha's wanting to know about Land Academy. That's what we've been talking about, or on a roundabout way. That's the program that I belong to. I am an
Yeah,
affiliate, so that means if you did buy the program, I do get compensated. I want to let you know that. But you get a $500 discount, so it's the same. You get a 500 if you decide to purchase. It's Bye Bye Land is the discount code. That's my website, buybyland.com, and you get a $500 discount because you were asking, Martha. I thought I'd throw that up there to you. Anyway, so you go to these different websites, do your research, but then a lot of times you're tapping into a human network. I think it's very interesting. It's giving me a different perspective because a lot of times you feel like investors are not going to really tell you much because you keep using XYZ County. You're not actually telling us the county. So I respect that you got to have some modicum of a competitive advantage, but you're probably sharing that with a lot of your networking guys that you guys are working together, right?
exactly. Well, this is what happens. If you are part of, yeah, typically investors are not going to share anything with you, but I'll tell you something you can do. If you go into certain counties that have sold comps, not all counties have this, but some counties have sold comps. You can get them from the county, right? And you can go through
Right.
the records of properties that were sold in a particular area. Like I think you can do that in Nevada, right? You can go
Okay.
through and you can go and you can see what's sold, and you're going to see certain property types being purchased by certain LLCs, and then they're being sold by the same LLC, and you can see what they're buying properties for and what they're selling properties for, and
Interesting. Okay.
what the time frame is between the buying and selling,
And
right?
are you able to glean this data for just land only, or do you have to look at all of it?
Well, you can do it for land only. You just go on the county website and you select
So they have that
the
set up.
exactly. You just select there's
Okay.
certain counties in Nevada where you just select. I think Elko has it, but I can't be 100% sure. I think Elko
Who
has it.
who?
Elko, I think it's
Oh,
Elko,
Elko. Oh, okay.
Elko County, Nevada.
Yeah, yeah. So my wife is the a register of deeds in my county that I live in, and
Wow.
I know for a fact that every morning she sends out an email. It's you have to subscribe to. I think it's like $50 a month or $50 a year or something like that. And she sends out every single transaction that they record on a daily basis. And we're a fast growing county, so there's probably 100 or 200 different pieces of property being sold. Now how they I don't know how they parse that information. Maybe I need to go talk to some of the people who buy that list and ask them how they use it to see if I can do it. Because I'm imagining that other counties do the same thing where they send out, it's public record. They send out, and she used to have to print it and mail it when she first took over the office or she first got elected. And that was a big deal. That's a big, I mean, it's an inch thick and they have to print it out and they have to stuff envelopes, put stickers on it, and put postage on it. She got everybody to transfer over to email. Plus, with the profit of you get it the day of instead of it takes you 3 days for the mail to get to you or 2 days. So anyway, she doesn't have any mail cost anymore, but that information is available. I just don't know how easy it is to parse it or use it or manipulate it. I like your idea better. I'd like to just go to a county that has that. I wonder how many counties out there that do that. That's interesting.
It's a very good question. I don't know is the answer.
So if you get to a county that doesn't do that, then you rely a lot more heavily on what the comps on sold properties are on websites that list properties for sale, like Land and Farm, Lands of whatever. Uh, how many different states have you been doing buying and selling properties in? I mean, you're in California. Did you start off in California before you spread out?
No. I started off in Colorado. What happened is I mailed to different areas, and I just mailed to different areas. I would try it. It bombed out. I would try a different area. It bombed out. Try a different area. It bombed out. I had my first success in Colorado. So
Okay.
I was in Colorado, and then I was mailing to different areas, and I wasn't getting any traction. So I went from Colorado, but I gradually found successful areas in other states as well. So I did
Well,
Colorado.
could it be that the earlier mailers where you were bombing out was because you were pricing it wrong, and maybe you could go
Totally.
back to could you go back to some of those earlier places that you thought were bombs and maybe do some business now because you're more familiar with how to do it?
Oh, totally. I mean, I remember the Land Academy podcast. They said, Steve and Jill said that the model could work pretty much anywhere, and I completely agree. It's just the wild card is the pricing and what you would buy stuff for and what you would sell stuff for. And if I had then the experience that I have now, I probably could flip some properties and do well in those areas. I'm not really motivated to go back there because now I have, I've done mailers in California. I've done mailers in different areas. I've done a lot of mailers in Colorado. I've done mailers in Texas. I've done mailers here. I've done mailers there. I own property in Arkansas. It's just, I own property in Missouri. So I could go back there, but I kind of have my hands full right now.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you,
Sure.
Adam?
Oh, 40.
Okay, so you're a youngin compared to me.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I had to agree that quick. But all right. So interesting. So, but you sound like a real estate mogul. If the average guy in a bar, if you said, "Oh yeah, I buy and flip real estate," really, yeah, I've got about 80 properties, their jaw would fall open. But it's not like you went and spent 80 properties worth of money up front. You parlayed this and you flipped it. You built your equity and rolled your money back into your business. Is that how things work?
Totally. I remember when I was wiped out, what happened is I was wiped out for a while. I told you in 2017, I was pretty much wiped out, right? And then I got a tax refund, and that gave me a little bit of money to continue, right? And I got a home run deal with that tax money. I ended up buying a 40-acre property with paved road access for $300. Right?
What?
Yeah, you heard right. $300. It had 10 years of back taxes, but it was $300. I paid the guy $300, and I sold it for $10,000, and the buyer assumed the back taxes.
Holy cow. So do they look at it as they separate the back taxes from the value of the property? Is that how they do it in their head? They're not looking at, well, I paid $10,000 and I'm going to pay all this back taxes and the property's only worth this much, but I'm paying this much. Do they not get that?
Well, you ever hear the expression, a feature, not a bug? It's not a bug, it's a feature. It's kind of like the same thing with back taxes in a way, right? It's a pain to have back taxes, but when you run into a property with a huge amount of back taxes, it can be a feature because you have someone who may not have the total retail price of that property. I had heard of properties in that area selling for $20,000, similar properties selling for $20,000, right? But I'm willing to sell cheap because I bought it for $300, and I just want to get, a chunk of cash and be on my way. It's like in Land Academy, they talk about selling retail versus wholesale and holding out, right? And I didn't want to hold out for goodness knows how long to get full retail price. The guy was willing to pay. I just went for it, $10,000. He decided to do some title work on it, and there was nothing owed on it besides the back taxes. He assumed the back taxes. He paid the back taxes.
How much were the back taxes? Do you remember?
Actually, they weren't even that much. He just gave me the money and I paid him. was funny because it was zoned agricultural. So the back
Wow.
taxes were like $300 or $400.
Oh, that's
So
crazy then.
right. So he just gave me an additional $300. I paid the back taxes. I didn't want to hold out for retail because I needed the cash. I was still running really, really low on cash because I mean I had some money, but I needed the money. So
Okay, so needing the money caused you to sell properties for a lot less than most people would sell them for, meaning you would move them quicker, velocity of money. How is that held over on today's methodology? Do you still do it that way, or now that you have more money, do you hang on to them and look for a little bit better profit?
well, everyone has their own way of doing things, right? I try to just flip them as quickly as I can, and I want to get whatever profit I can get, right? Faster is better than perfect, right? I
Well,
could. There's a lot of.
that's Justin's Sleeva's attitude is flip them and velocity of money. And other people might say, no, I'm gonna get a little bit more. I don't know. Adam told me that Justin kind of gets his price, but he still moves them pretty fast. But I get that. But he can't. He always talks about velocity of money. Turn that money. Don't hold on to a property and try to sell the timber off of it. You're going to get bogged down, and you could have done 3 deals in the meantime and made more money.
Well, that's true. That's a good point. I mean, everyone has their own philosophy. I would tend to agree with him because the problem is that while you're waiting for the perfect seller to come along, excuse me, the perfect buyer to come along, you could have done 5 or 6 other deals, right?
Right.
That's my hold on just a second while I adjust
Your
this.
philosophy.
That's my philosophy is I just do it, I close it, I get the money, and I move on.
So let's move. Let's talk a little bit about sales. And Edgar was bringing this up. Is how do you sell it? Do you have certain places do you like to sell on, or that do better than others for you, or are you everywhere guy? How do you when you got a property in your inventory and you decide, okay, I bought it, I just closed on it, I got to market it now. What do you do to market a property?
Well, there's a lot of great websites out there. I mean, there's a lot of great websites out there. I've sold the most properties on Craigslist, um, and I've sold a ton on Land Century.
Land Century. Okay,
I've
I
sold
need to check into
a
that because
ton
I don't
on
really.
Yeah, you can check out Land Century. It's like $50 a month, right?
Okay.
And I've sold I sold stuff. I've sold stuff on a little bit of stuff on Land Moto. I've heard a lot of great things about LandPen.
Okay. But
And
Landmodo, Landmoto caters to term deals. Is that correct?
yeah, it more caters to term deals. It does
Okay.
more cater to term deals, but you just get it. The property. The bottom line is you just get it out, and you just get it out in front of as many eyeballs as you can. Um,
Do
that's
you
what
do
you do.
Facebook Marketplace?
Oh yeah. I've sold on Facebook. Facebook Marketplace is gold.
Okay. Any tips on how to leverage Facebook Marketplace? News and do's and don'ts.
Well, what I do is I just post the ads. I don't post too much on via Facebook Marketplace, right? You don't want to post every day. At least that's not. I haven't found that successful, right? Posting the same
Right.
ad for the same property every day, but maybe once every few weeks you post one property, and then the next week you may post a different property, and you're going to have a lot of people texting you and saying, "Hey, is this available?" And it's just one of the parts of the game, right?
So
One of the parts of the game.
so on. Yeah, I get a lot of responses like that. Tire kickers mainly because it's
Yeah,
the automated response. If you say I want to know more about this property, it automatically says, "Hey, is this still available?" And you think they're interested, really, but that's just what the message says when they click. I need more information. Do you know what I'm talking about?
totally. And I always
Yeah.
reply back yes, and then I see if the person responds back.
Oh, okay.
I don't put a lot of
I think
information
I
in.
have to, really. Why do I go a different tack? I say
Oh,
yes. I just posted it recently. Here's a link to a YouTube video that tells you all about the property. Here's my phone number. If you need anything else, call me. So I figure they're either interested or not, and maybe if they go take a look at the YouTube video, they might become more interested. I don't know. So you're kind of the keep the carrot out there to get more information. I'm kind of dump it all on them.
Oh, it's totally
So,
cool. I just got overwhelmed with so many. Is this available? And it was just like taking up too much time. But I think your philosophy and your ideas are totally correct. What I have to do is just have maybe a little notepad open and just copy and paste all the information. And then
okay.
whenever someone says, "Is this available?" I can just send them to my website or send them to a video or something.
Well, do you make videos for your properties?
Not really. I need to do that. That's a good idea. I need to
What do
actually
you
do
do?
that.
Do you use Google Earth photos, or do you send a photographer out there to take photos for you? How do you do it, or do you
Mostly
do any
Google,
of that?
mostly Google Earth. Sometimes I send someone out to take pictures, or if I have pictures of the general area, like some of the properties I'm selling in Texas, I have pictures of that county. So I just put those pictures in and say, hey, these are not pictures of the property. These are pictures of the county. Here's the GPS coordinates. You can view it on Google Earth.
Okay,
Knock your heart out. Eat your
okay.
heart out.
So when you get an offer coming into you, somebody signed a letter,
Yeah.
and you decide you're going to do due diligence. What type of steps or tools do you use to do your due diligence?
Oh, there's a lot of tools to use to do your due diligence. I mean, the first thing I do is I want to check if the county, ideally the county has the title information online, right? And if they
Right.
do, it's pretty easy just to check the title information online, right? And then you can
Okay.
call and check for back taxes. Again, how much due diligence is done would depend on the price of the property. If it's something ridiculous, like run to the bank ridiculous, like for example, $300 for the 40 acres, all I did is I looked online
Make sure it's
quickly,
not a make sure
make
it's not a site for, what do they call them, brown sites, or FDA, or what do you call it? Where you have a spill or
EPA,
something? EPA site. As long as
EPA
it's not an
condemned,
EPA.
right?
Yeah.
I was on that deal. I was just like, okay, well, whatever. I'm just gonna run. I'm not going through title. I'm not doing anything. I'm just running to the bank and buying the
Yeah, it's three hundred
property.
bucks.
It was $300. It was actually in a package. The guy sold me like 3 or 4 other properties at the same time. It was like $2,000, and I just ran to the bank. He was like, "You want?" He was like, he said he wanted like $1,900 or something for it, and I just said, "That's cool for all of the properties, for the 40
Wow.
acre property, for a few other properties." I just ran to the bank.
Why did
I,
he want to sell? Did he have a motivation to sell?
Yeah, because you see, he had inherited the properties and he had no
And
use for the properties. He didn't care. He wasn't going to go to that
it
area.
wasn't. Yeah, and he's too lazy to even hire a real estate agent to market it for him. It's just like, here's some, give me some money. So
Yeah, it's like, I don't want this. Can you take this off my hand? And I was like, how much do you want for these properties? And he's like, blah APN, blah blah APN. And he's like, I want $300 for this property. And I looked it up, and it was like 40 acres, and it had like paved road access.
oh my god,
Initially I did. Go ahead.
that was what I was about to ask you. So what about access? Is that ever a problem? Do you ever find that you've got deals but you just can't get to the property?
Well, yeah, but my point of view is senior to access or no access is price, right? I sold a property last month. It was dirt cheap. I had to sell it for dirt cheap because it was in Texas. It was no access, but I still made, I still doubled my money, but it was no access, so I had to sell cheap, right?
Well, some people want no access. That's the
Some,
reason they want to get there. They don't want anybody to get there to find them, I guess.
Precisely.
So now Nick is asking about term deals. Do you sell by carrying the paper? What percentage of your deals do you carry in the term of term deals?
I love term deals. I'm totally open to term deals. The vast majority, I would say like 80% of my deals, 90% of my deals are just cash deals, but term deals are great. I remember I sold a property maybe a few weeks ago. I bought the property for maybe $100. I sold it on terms for 1,200.
Oh
Great
my
deal.
gosh. Hey, I want you to back up a little bit because I think you're too close to the camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some light on. I don't know where your light went. Did the sun go down over there or something?
Sun's going down, but the lights are
Okay.
on.
Okay. All right. So you do term deals when you can. I guess you got some money coming in from your term deals. Is it enough to cover your overhead? Is that how you look?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have some money coming in from term deals, but keep in mind, I haven't done a lot of term deals, so I have I have maybe $700 a month coming in terms
Okay,
deals.
cool.
So it's not
Yeah,
it's not $1 million, but it's really
right.
helpful in terms of covering some basic expenses. And
Sure,
then and
absolutely.
and then I take that and I can invest it and I can use it and I flip. I primarily focus on just flipping, buying and selling and flipping.
Do you
And
have a certain range of property pricing that you deal with? Do you buy properties that are 700 to 5,000, or are you trying to do bigger deals? I mean, where does it, or do you have a sweet spot that you kind of stay with on
well,
the pricing?
I want to move up to bigger deals. Honestly, I want to get into the point where I'm doing, the plum investment level deals.
Right,
Where it's worth you're buying it for 10 and it's worth 30,
right,
right? I want to
right.
get up to that level where you're doing that like all the time. I'm not in that level yet. I'm just kind of operating off of my own resources for the most part. So I
Do
have.
you,
Go ahead.
do you do you include bigger properties in your mailer, thinking that if I get a letter back or an offer back, I can go to Plum or Land Tank, Deal Tank, or something like that?
I do include those in my. I have done mailings for much more valuable properties, and I have included those, and I have gone through that thought process. But what I've noticed, which maybe not everyone notices, but what I found to be true, is the more valuable the property, the more letters you have to send out. Right?
Yep, true.
Right. So what I find is that it's like, okay, well, I can go and target those bigger properties, but I also have to have the smaller properties and the less valuable
Sure, yeah,
properties
yeah,
in
yeah.
the mix because I
To
have
make the
to
deals happen. Yeah.
I have to make the deals happen, and I have I have to have that, and it's like I have luckily through my mentor who I was telling you about my mentor who I just gave him a ton of property. I gave him like $30,000 in deals, and now he helps me all the time, and I help him any way I can. And he's a multimillionaire, and he has a whole bunch of properties in inventory. And he was, we were talking maybe 3 weeks ago, and he's like, Adam, I just bought 110-acre properties.
Wow.
Anytime you can, anytime you need them, just you need a property, just write me a check. I'll send you a property. Now, these properties are not individually, they're not, you're not going to make like the big bucks with each of them. But having a source of properties you can go to over and over again where you don't have to do a mailing, it's great.
Have you took them up on that offer?
Oh yeah, yeah. I bought several properties from him, and it's a really an easy thing. I just go. What I do is I go and do the mailing. Like I've done a lot of mailings for him, and he has properties, and some of the more valuable properties, he makes whatever he makes on it. I hope he makes $20,000. I hope he makes $30,000, whatever he makes on it. And then sometimes he has sellers who have a large volume of the less valuable properties, and I can just go to him and I can say, hey, I want this property or that property, this property that's worth, $2,000 or whatever it's worth. And I can go and buy it from him, or I can market. I can also do my own marketing and I can buy it that way. And then I can do that. Right.
How often do you send out a mailer for yourself?
This is embarrassing. I haven't sent out a mailer in some time. My mass mailer was maybe a month and a half ago.
And how
I have
many
so
do you
much. What?
you have so much what?
I have so much. I did a mailer recently for my mentor just as a favor to him, right? And he also reimbursed me for the money for the mailer, so it was no real big deal.
Okay.
So I was happy to do it. So he reimbursed me the cost of the mailer, so it was cool.
So basically, what's happening is he don't want to take the time to learn how to do it. He'll just let you do it, and you get bennies from it,
Well,
benefits.
I get benefits from it. He knows how to do it. He doesn't want to. Sometimes he doesn't want to put in the time to do it, which I understand, because he's kind of one of these people who is on the Steve Butella, Jill DeWitt,
Level. Okay.
Adam Southey,
Right.
level. Like he's on like the Luke Smith level. Like he's a really, really successful, busy guy, right? And he needs the
Right.
help. So
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm happy to plug into his system, right? I'm happy to plug into his system.
So you're drafting. You're like a NASCAR guy that's like number two place that's drafting off the lead driver. You're getting
It's
that draft working for you.
it's
I
cool.
see.
I don't only do that. I do my own stuff, and I do my own
Right.
areas that I'm familiar with. But his data has been invaluable, and the data I've learned from other investors has been invaluable, right? And that allows me to increase my game. And in fact, it's funny because there was another investor who I was helping her with something, right? And she was having
Yeah.
trouble, and I was helping her with something. And she introduced me to the world of over-the-counter tax deeds, which I love,
Is that where
right?
your Arkansas properties you have came from?
You better believe it.
Okay.
That's where they came from. And exactly, exactly. And it's a beautiful world because
Cool.
you can, again, you don't, with those properties individually, there may not be worth $50,000, but when you have 70 of them or 50 or 60 of them,
You
it's
can
very,
you can bundle them up and sell them as a package?
you can button them up, sell them as a package. You can do what um, Justin Sleva does, which is you can sell them for cheap. You know,
Right.
you can sell them online, you can
Or
sell them on eBay, you can bundle them up, you can do a lot of things.
or just flip them real quick for a low cost terms deals and have some money coming in, get your money back, and then now you've got free money coming in.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Buddy's asking, oh, by the way, how many mailers do you send out when you do a mailer typically? What's the number? Do you have a certain number minimum that you typically stick with?
No real minimum. I've done mailers for as little as 700 letters, but honestly, when I do a mailer, I want to hit the 1,500 or more level,
Right.
which is
Okay.
the Land Academy
Exactly.
recommends
That's
that, which
yeah.
is
That's
totally 100% right. Because
right.
if you don't send out enough mailers, you can give up on a county, and you can think, wow, this county is no good, but it's just you didn't send out enough mailers.
Exactly. So, Buddy, back to Facebook ad. Buddy wants to know: do you ever boost your Facebook posts to get more views from it?
I've heard good things about that. I've just never done it myself.
Are you posting it on uh, on your own news feed, or are you going to Facebook Marketplace for your area and actually building an ad there?
I go to Facebook Marketplace for the area, and I build an ad, and I post it
Okay.
there, and I post it in
Okay.
a whole bunch of buy and sell groups,
Gotcha. Have
and
you
I just
ever
kind of
sold?
blast it out.
Okay. Have you ever sold anything in these buy and sell groups? Because it just seems like nobody would be there but the ones that are selling.
I know. I don't know why that is. I mean, I remember seeing. I don't know. I think I sold it through Marketplace. I remember I
Yeah.
blasted out a property to Marketplace, and a lot of the buy sell groups. Someone reached out to me, and they ended up buying the property on terms,
Okay.
and so it
Now,
was good.
does your property that you sell on terms versus flip, do they have certain criteria that says, yeah, I'm not going to be able to flip this for cash, I'm going to sell it on terms? Or are they all up for grabs on terms if the terms are proper, if somebody approaches you and even asks you for it?
I'm always open to terms, but it depends on the property, how valuable it is, and what they're
Yeah.
willing to put down as a down payment. Because if a property is worth, $10,000, and then someone wants to buy it on terms for $100 down and $100 a month,
Right.
no.
Exactly. I got you. All right. You're going out of focus there.
Oh,
Um, do me a favor. Can you turn your monitor to the left and see if that will pick up some light? Because it's getting dark in there and I'm having a hard time seeing you.
is this better?
A little bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Okay,
So,
maybe we should
uh,
change.
uh, yeah, I got a good fluorescent light overhead here. So, where do you head? Where are you heading from here? What are your plans to either grow or scale your business?
Well, my plans to scale my business is just continuing to network and continuing to learn more. And I want to actually partner with Plum, and I want to put together a decent amount of money, right? I want to put together a decent amount of money so I can do a decent mailer, like I'd say 10,000 letters, 10,000,
Wow,
20,000 letters,
on
and just
one
really
go?
target. Yeah, sure. And what I want to I want to hire Justin and get some consulting from Justin and target some of these more valuable properties. You have the money together where I can just send out, 10,000 mailers on a go, and it would be at a point where I wouldn't have to worry whether or not I got any deals off the mailer or not. I'd have to have the money put together so that if I send out 10,000, and it's disappointing. It's not like the end of the world.
So do
And
you
just
ever?
kind of go for it.
So does this business that you're in now that you've been doing it for a while? Do you ever look at it as drudgery or work?
No, it's fun.
So it's always fun for you. I mean, that's the thing. It's fun for me right now, but I wonder
Yeah.
what's it going to be like in 15, 10 years or 5 years. And I'm assuming it's going to be something like Steve and Jill. That's what I'm hoping. I mean, I look at their lifestyle, and you can kind of read between the lines. They're doing pretty daggum good. And,
Yeah.
they live right on the beach, and they just bought themselves a bunch of cars, and I think they like a lot of toys, and they're doing a lot of travel. And I can also, but their deals are getting bigger and more complex, and there's stuff happening. He's coming out. He came out with, I guess, House Academy will be released any day now, and then they're talking about Mobile Home Academy and other stuff. So, are you doing anything else besides land flipping? Have you looked at infill lots and maybe looking at doing some of that?
I have looked at info lots, and it's definitely something I want to do in the future. Right now, I just don't have the kind of resources it would take to do info lots. At some point in the future, I will go for info lots.
It takes a lot more mailers to get that to work.
Exactly. That's my thing. I think it's a great area. It's a great thing to do, but based off of my own personal experience, if it's going to take when I look at the amount of mailers I have to send out to get a property that's worth, let's say, $10,000. When we start looking at info lots, I know that it's going to be orders of magnitude more in terms of mailings,
right?
In terms of money for mailers, and then also the due diligence. It's not like you can just go and get an info lot under contract and then it's like you're just going to flip it over, because a buyer, if he's going to be spending $100,000, he's going to want to know that title is clean. He's going to want to know,
can it be built on?
Yeah, and what can be built on. He's going to want to know where the utilities are. He's going to want to know all this information. And it's not like something you can just go and just find out in 5 minutes.
Right. I got you. I'm going to go back to Craigslist for a minute. To be able to sell on Craigslist, that the ad, once it moves down the page, you got to go back in there and boost it back up. Do you do that on your own, or have you done that, or do you just like post it and see if it sells, and if it doesn't sell in the first day or so, you just forget about it, or do you go back in, edit it, make it pop up to the top of the pack?
Well, what I do is just renew it, right? I just renew it, and then it goes to the top of the pack again. I need to go. There's so much data. There's so much technology when it comes to buying and selling on Craigslist. And I know there's so many fancy tricks on how to make your listing stand out. I've just been kind of an old school guy and just putting the property information up on Craigslist with some pictures and then renewing it a little bit and then posting up a new ad promoting the same property. And I've sold a fair amount there, but again, of late, I've been selling on some other websites. I've sold on Craigslist, but I've sold a lot on Land Century. And
have you ever used MLS or used a flat fee broker to get on MLS, or have you or real estate agents?
Well, I've networked with real estate agents, and I've never sold anything through a real estate agent, but I've bought stuff via real estate agents. In fact, it was
really?
Yeah. I always try to. It's really funny because someone called me one time and they got my offer and they said, hey, I want to accept this offer, but I'm listed with this real estate agent. And the seller was like, I don't like this real estate agent. I want to cut them out of the deal, blah, blah, blah. No, I called the real estate agent and I said, hey, I want to buy this property you have listed, but I want to make it a win-win. I want to make it a win-win, right? I want to work something out with you that's fair, right? And they were very receptive to that. And I paid them, what they deserved and what was agreed upon to pay them. Plus, I got the property at a really good price. And then that same realtor knew of another motivated seller and brought the motivated seller to me.
And again, this is land.
Price. This is land. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever bought improved property at all?
No.
Okay. So what about flat rate MLS fees where you pay like $250 and it gets listed on MLS? You don't really have an agent. You have You do, but they don't do anything for you. They just basically list it. Have you ever done that?
No, but it's funny you should mention that because I've heard that's a great strategy. And you were asking me about my plans for the future. One of my plans for the future is I have some fairly valuable properties in Missouri, and I'm going to send someone out to take pictures of them. And the most valuable out of that group of properties, I plan on listing on the MLS.
If you do that and you take photos, have you thought about doing drone videos?
I've thought about it. I've thought about doing drones. I might do drones. I
I
mean, I
mean,
want to see.
you can find a good drone pilot that will do a video for about 150 to $200. They'll do all types of flyovers, from different angles and whatnot. But they can also get a lot of photos out of their drone video. They can process, and after when they edit the thing, you can ask them, I need X number of photos as well, and they can take photos with a drone, and they can also take the drone footage and extract a photo if they need be. So you might get a twofer out of it. In other words, I don't know how much you're going to pay to get decent photos from a photographer. I don't know. Have you priced it out at all?
Yeah, but let me explain. I think you're totally right. I think getting drone footage of a valuable property is gold. I think that's a great idea. But what I'm looking at is I own a whole bunch of properties up there, right? I own probably 15 properties up there. And what I want to do is get them to go out and take the price estimate I got for taking the pictures, since they're all the properties are in a nearby area. Someone was to charge me $300 for like 15 properties. And then if a property is really, really valuable and it has a lot of really great features, well then, yes, I'm going to go and send out a drone and get someone to do drone footage and put it on the MLS and just do a lot of stuff to really market the property. But right now, I haven't even seen them. I mean, I've seen them on Google Earth, but I haven't seen some of the pictures of Google Earth are pretty old.
Okay.
I want to get
Have you?
current pictures.
Do you ever visit any of the properties that you're thinking about buying?
No, never. I've never been to any of the properties I've bought and sold.
That's interesting because there's a double-edged sword. Some people say don't do it. Like Luke Smith says, don't do it. I did it once. I'll never do it again because it just messes your head up. On the other hand, I've had people say, yeah, it gave me great insight. Tim Flood goes to every one of his properties, and they know how to market it based on that and how to draw out their, the features of benefits. Nick, if you're having a lousy connection, dude, it's your connection. I think we have a good connection. You need to turn off your Wi-Fi. If you're on a desktop or a laptop and you're watching this and you got a shady, sketchy connection, turn off everything else that's sucking on Wi-Fi. Turn off your Dropbox, close it, turn off Skype, turn off Google Earth, close the other 14 tabs you have open on your browser. If you got a phone in your hand and you're watching on your laptop, turn your Wi-Fi off on your phone, turn off your Roku device, make your wife turn her phone off, and you won't have that problem. Anyway, I was just giving him some a little housekeeping tip there, guys. So
Totally.
can you give us a hack or trick or tip that you figured out using a tool or some strategy or tactic you've been able to figure out that's put extra money in your pocket?
Well, my central strategy is, since I didn't start with a lot of money, I just had to monetize however I could. So what I believe in doing is you buy a property, right? You may be buying properties that other big time investors are overlooking because the profit margin isn't so huge, right? So you start with and I'm taking it from the point of view of my point of view. When I started, I didn't have any money. I didn't have a big 401k. I didn't have money partners. I didn't have anything. I just had to make money, right? And I had what little money I was making from my day job, and I saved a little bit of that. So my strategies come from that point of view, right? So you come into a county, right? You're going to a county where you can buy land for $500 for 5 acres or $700 for 5 acres, right? And you're flipping that land and you're making $700 on that. Okay, well, fine. You get really familiar with that. You do that a whole bunch of times. And now you can buy 2 or 3 or 4 properties, and 4 of those properties, they're all $700 for 5 acres. But now you own 4 or 5 of them, right? And you're kind of building yourself up gradually. If I could do things again, if I could start all over, I would have started with over-the-counter tax deeds, right? And I would have
Okay.
gone to different states and I'd have looked and seen what was available in the minimum bid, because those are another property type where you can start and you don't have to have a lot of money and you don't have to do a mailing, and then you can generate a little bit of money. It's just like Justin Sleeva's book, right?
Coffee table.
Coffee table, exactly. Coffee table real
Yeah.
estate investing is genius. But since everyone knows about the areas he discusses in the book, you would have to go to different areas, right? And try
Okay.
to strike out on your own. I mean, those areas are not bad, but it's better to be able to strike out on your own
Well, I
and
don't know
be
if
able to
you
find other areas.
I don't know if you heard the episode where they interviewed the girl that they had a contest and she won the contest. She had an option: they'd give her a free property or they give her $500 cash. She's like,
Yeah,
I'll take the cash, and I want to try to do something with the cash. So they counseled with her, and she went to Arkansas and bought several, I forget, 9 properties or something like that with the $500 using over the counter methods. She turned around and sold all of those and more than doubled her money. And then she took that money and did a big mailer to Oregon. And they say that she already has a bunch of deals that she's working through, that the profit on those deals will probably pay her more than what she makes as a teacher. And
that is
that's what
awesome.
yeah. So she was very strategic about, bootstrapping it using over the counter, which are really low price. You can buy really low price properties. Basically, over the counter means, guys, that in Arkansas is like the only state that really does this. They list all of their properties that are owed back taxes. The people never paid them. They took the property back and then put it up for auction. Nobody bought them. Nobody wanted to buy them at that price. So now they just list them and they say, look, these are for sale. This is the price. And then there becomes a time where the price, they stay up there so long, nobody offers them the price. Then you can go in and say, when they turn green, I think it is, I will, I'll offer you this much instead of what you're asking. And they accept it a lot of times. So you can really buy them like for nothing, $100 or a lot of times
Oh,
for a
totally.
piece of,
Oh,
so
totally. Go ahead.
anyway, Nick was bragging about his 480 acres that he's developing in northern Arizona, and he's using a drone for a land survey on 400. Oh, so you're using it to survey the land, and it cost 1/10 of what it would cost for a regular survey. That's pretty slick, and that is true. And they're a lot more accurate too, because they just fly over and take the photographs, and then they're all GPS, and it's super accurate. Martha is asking, I think I just answered that inadvertently, what are those over the county tax deeds? Is it land the county owns? Exactly. I think I just explained that. I didn't realize I can read your mind, Martha. I knew you was going to ask that question, so I went ahead and answered it before you even finished asking it. Guys, you want to ask questions? This is the time to put them in the chat room. Please ask any question you want. I mean, do you? I don't know. I didn't ask you. Do you have a spouse or a partner or whatever? Does that play a part in your business?
Yes, I have a wonderful girlfriend. I have a
Okay.
wonderful woman, Alejandra, and she supports me so much with my business, and I'm so happy to be with her.
Well, was she around when you were like hitting dire straits, or she relatively new girlfriend? Where, oh, I've got a real estate mogul here because he's got 80 properties under his belt.
No, no. Well, we started last year.
Okay,
We
so it
got
was after
together last.
2017 when you went to zero again.
Yeah, it was after that, but she's
Okay.
tremendously supportive, and I really appreciate her love and support. And she's done so much. I didn't have 80 when I first started dating her. I didn't have 80 properties. Now I have 80 properties, and I so appreciate her love and support. And
That's good.
she's an amazing woman.
I mean,
And
there's a lot of people getting this business, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but a lot of people getting this business, and they don't. Their spouse is like, the jury is out. Like, what in the hell are you doing? And you better not cause us to go in bankruptcy. And they just don't. And then I guess after a while, once the money comes in, that's you make them a believer out of it. This is the one of the businesses that I've looked at over the years that I've done, and there's only been one other business where I really committed and it worked, and I went after it. And there's a lot of stuff I've tried that just didn't work. And of course, my wife has got to the point where, okay, yeah, right, we'll see. But I have no doubt that I will be able to, in 4 years, she just got reelected in her third term as Register of Deeds. She may want to run again, but I want to give her the option to. And the option would be, if you don't want to run, honey, don't worry about it. I mean, we got at least 80 properties under our belt, and we're making money.
Well,
yeah. So we made Martha laugh. I guess that must have been a comment about, when did you start dating your girl? Was it before or after? I'm just guessing that it was before or after when you went back to zero in 2017. Jill DeWitt says add a zero. I don't think she meant that.
she didn't mean that. Well,
yeah.
I you know what I think? I think that there's a lot of people. There's my level. It's really interesting. There's my level of success where I've hit it. And I remember back when I was single,
Okay.
I post stuff on my Facebook, and people knew that I was into land. But it's interesting. People don't always perceive where you're going. And it's always wonderful to have someone who can perceive where you're going and can see where you're going. Right. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. What are your friends? I mean, what are your friends on Facebook? Are you heckled? Do people like, yeah, right, they don't believe you? Or, I mean, I just can't believe that you would have friends that after you've done it for a while, they wouldn't be beating your door down and say, please teach me how to do this.
Well,
do you get any of that?
Yeah, I do. You do get it from several of my friends. They've asked me about it, and I've pointed them to free resources that they can study, like the free ebook.
Yeah.
Like there's a Land Academy ebook that Steve Butella wrote, and you send them the ebook, and some of the people read the ebook, and some of them don't read the ebook, and some of them go ahead and they get, they buy a program and they get started. And what I've noticed is a lot of interest in it. And as to heckling or any kind of negative feedback, I don't really get that, because if someone were on my friends list and they started heckling me, then I'll just unfriend them. that's the end of that problem, is you just unfriend them.
Now, I want to rub it in. I'm not going to unfriend them. I'm going to wait till like a Tim Flood deal comes along. Oh, guess what I just did with my stupid land flipping business that you've told me is worthless? I made $100,000 on this deal in 4 days. Anyway, that'll be fun.
No, totally.
I'm not. Yeah. So yeah, I just wonder about that. Why people? I mean, there's a lot of people that actually have purchased the membership to Land Academy, and I know this is true because Justin and Adam have talked about this, where they've had people consult with them, paying consulting fee. They've been around for 2 years and never pulled the trigger on the first mailer. There's for whatever reason, there's that level of they don't know what's going to happen, the fear of not knowing, and whether they're going to do it right or not, and they just never get around to doing it, and that's crazy. But there is that and that's something that I think I admire about your story is you didn't quit. You had a lot of reasons to quit. The average person would use a lot of the things that happened to you as a reason to quit. Oh, I got a parking ticket. My car was towed. I can't do the land business anymore because I'm broke now. And you got injured one time and you went back to zero in 2017, but you didn't stop. You persevered. And that's the mindset of a winner, or a mindset of a person that becomes an entrepreneur and makes it. They don't let anything stop them. And like you say, they take the bug and make it into a feature. And anything that ever happens to you, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And so, kudos to you for making that happen.
Well, thank you. And I completely agree. That's what you have to do, is just persist. Persistence is the name of the game.
Right. And of course, Sanju nailed it with 2 words: analysis paralysis. And Jason is saying that John from New Hampshire. John, this is real. So some guy in, oh, John, oh, I know you're talking about Dowie, the duck man. Yeah, he's lampooned me several times. He's a friend of ours, Jason. Brian, I don't know if Brian's on the call tonight, but we all know John. He makes fun of it. I think deep down he knows it's for real. He just don't have time to do it. He's too busy duck farming and what other stuff. We got the guy up there in New Hampshire that, and he's an entrepreneur. He started growing microgreens in his kitchen, and he's turned it into a really big. I mean, he's expanded, and he's got some of the top restaurants up in his area buying his stuff, and now he's selling duck eggs, and he's networking like you do. He networks with other people that have crafted, hand-grown, organic this or that, different maple syrup, etc. You can build a business from scratch like that. You just can't quit. And so, anyway, that. Go ahead.
That's totally true. You just cannot quit. And I was going to say that after I got that deal, the $10,000, I sold it for $10,000. I ended up getting a little bit of, I went and I did some more marketing, and I ended up taking that money and I ended up buying another 40-acre property for about $4,200. And then I ended up, and I had to borrow some money for this next deal. I ended up buying, 10 5-acre properties, and I just started flipping those, and I just kind of just built myself back up.
Good for you, man. To go from 2017 to present, that's less than 2 years.
Yeah.
And now you got 80 properties on your belt. And you made some money along the way.
Yeah.
You're doing it. Blake, you didn't miss anything, brother. You're going to get an automatic email tomorrow sometime with a replay link. So anybody here that missed something or had to go take a time out for something, you can watch the replay. You'll get the email sometime about 24 hours or less. So you didn't miss. Your question was, do you do cash flips? He says about 80% of your deals are cash flips, and maybe about 20% is terms deals. Is that what you're?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do. I'm interested in turning the money quickly. It's like I was talking to another investor, a millionaire investor who I've sold goodness knows how many properties to. She's one of my wholesale buyers, and we were talking about success and about the business, and she's just like, she was saying that what she does is she just flips and flips and flips, and whatever she makes, she just tries to keep things moving. And I think it's a good philosophy.
So that's another velocity of money person. So
yeah, she believes in velocity of money.
So do you? I mean, is your mindset going forward to is it the Land Academy mindset, or are you always drawing on other types of programs to continue to improve? I mean, I don't really have a desire right now to go buy another course from somewhere else. I mean, I think Seth Williams has something very similar. I mean, he joined Land Academy, and I think for a while he was probably a proponent of it, but I think he pretty much teaches the same thing. Is there any value in, or do you do any kind of other self-improvement webinars, seminars, that kind of thing, is when it just comes to just business and handling money and making good decisions with as a business owner?
Well, I have huge respect for Land Academy, and every day when the podcast comes out, I always listen to it because it brings value to my life. And the Land Academy program is very valuable, and it's definitely helped me take my game into the next level, and it's very, very valuable. I have to let you know that as I said before, I started with Jack's program, and so I always will have respect for Jack. And I just think it's, again, different tools in the toolkit. It's kind of like you have one tool that works best for this and one tool that works best for that. And I highly recommend the Land Academy program. And I think it's a great program, and I think it brings massive value. And if you're thinking about getting it, you should definitely put in the code, put in the buy land code, and buy it.
Oh, you're good, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah. But personally with me, I found that I've learned different things from different gurus, right?
Right.
And I've learned
Well,
a lot.
Does Jack Bosch do like Jack Steve and Jill, where he's always evolving his program and adding new modules or revamping? I mean, is it a dynamic program, or is it static where you bought it and you've got it and that's all you're going to see from it?
Well, he can update it any time. It's an online program now. Originally, when I bought it, it was a regular, just a program that they would ship to you, and it was a paper
CDs, yeah.
program, CDs,
Oh, okay.
and you would ship to you, and then it was just kind of a static program. Now he updates it, but again, Jack has his approach, which is a good approach, and Land Academy has a good approach, and I really have learned a lot from Land Academy, and I have again huge respect for Jill, and huge respect for Steve. And then it's funny because with my mentor is on the same level as Jack Bosch or Steve Butella or Jill DeWitt or Tim Flood. He's kind of like that kind of person. He's been
Oh, you
doing
just made Tim Flood's head just blow up.
Oh, good. He's kind of been doing things like he's on that same level. So I've learned things like there's things that none of the other gurus taught, and then he's taught me. And some of what he's taught me is just data that wouldn't go into a program because it's proprietary information. So,
Can you give me an example without divulging it? What would be an example of a proprietary information that you couldn't put in a program?
well, because the problem with putting programs together, and this is a problem with any program, and it's any program under the sun, moon, and stars. If you were to say in a program, like let's say that um, Steve Utella put in a program that the standard offer price in Mojave County, Arizona, is $150 an acre, and I've made a lot of money offering $150 an acre and selling for $300 an acre. I'm just making this up. Let's say you put that in the
Okay.
program, right? Okay, then everybody and their mother is going to be sending mailers out at that price point, right? So you can't really
Right.
put that in a mailer. And also, you would have a million investors going to the same area. It's like I know of one program where they talk about specific counties,
Secret
right?
county list.
Secret county list. And then what happens with the secret county list? Well,
Everybody.
everybody goes into those secret counties, and now it's like my challenge is like you get someone actually mailed me the secret county list, and now I'm like, okay, well, what areas can I go in that are not on the secret county list?
Exactly. I think that must be a ploy. Let's get all these suckers to buy into these programs and call it the secret county list, so they'll all go and stay over there in those areas, and we've got the rest of the U.S. to go farm. So now, I don't know if you heard the new announcement today. Jill DeWitt had a live Facebook stream. She announced that they are going to do another live event. It's going to be in October,
Oh, wow.
4th through the 6th, and the first day will be for advanced, and I think it's invitation only. So I don't know how you get on the list to be invited to that. And then that'll be the first day. Then the second day, Saturday and Sunday, will be for everybody, and it's going to be in L.A. So or wherever they're at. Where are they? They're not in L.A. They're in. Um, are they San Diego? I forget. Well, it's close to you, whatever it is.
LA. They'll probably do it they did the last one in LA.
Yeah, and that's what they said. It's going to be out there in October.
Yeah.
Tentatively, I'm planning on coming, so maybe I'll meet you there.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll be there.
I would love to I mean, it sounds like a great opportunity to learn, and I would love to learn from them, right? And you could again, it's different tools in the toolkit,
Sure.
right?
What's the worst thing? What's the worst mistake you've ever made where you made the mistake and you're like, crap, that cost money. I shouldn't have done that. And is there a big mistake you've ever made?
Oh yeah, I've made tons of mistakes. It's just one of these things where you just have to learn from your mistakes and keep on moving on. One of the mistakes I made is remember I told you about that deal that I bought a group of properties from that guy, and he
Yeah.
sold one of the properties was for $300 and it was 40 acres. It was funny because it
Right.
was one of my big mistakes was I bought a group of properties from him, and one of the properties when I missed it, I did the title work and I missed it. The property had it had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of back taxes and penalties on it, right? And I went and I sold the property to somebody, right? And the person paid me, and then a few months later, I got this angry text. What's going on here? It's being taken back by the county and blah 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 blah. And I had to go and I had to make that right. And it was just it was expensive, and it just took a long time to make right.
So what did
Um,
you do? You just refund her?
no, what I did end up doing is doing a special mailing. I did another mailing to the area. I bought another property for that person, and I deeded it over to the
Okay.
person for free. And it was actually cheaper than refunding them the money. And then I just kind of
Wow.
learned from it,
That's interesting.
and
Okay, that's
I
interesting.
I chalked it up.
They were willing to wait. Did you say that's what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy you a property. Just give me a month or so.
Yeah, they were reasonable about it. They're very nice people, and I apologized profusely, and I bought a property. I just deeded it to them for free, to make up for the
Huh.
other property that was a dog property, and that's what happened. So that particular property was a loss, but it was no big deal because overall in that batch was the property that was $300. So
Right.
it
You
was
just
at the end
average
of
it
the
all
day,
in.
it just kind of like some of you win and some of you lose.
Do you do a lot of self closes?
Tons. I do
Okay.
tons of self closes.
And you get probably a notary company to go out and sign the documents and deliver the check to them. Is that how you do it?
Yeah, that's how I do it typically. If the deal is small enough, like for example, with this most recent deal, it was $600 for 6 40-acre properties in Texas. I just kind of went out on a limb and I said, okay, well, I'm just going to send him a little bit of money, and I'm just going to trust that he's going to return the notarized deed. And my trust was well placed, and he returned the notarized deed, and I sent him the balance.
Okay, my screen froze up
Oh,
through that
okay.
whole explanation. I thought I lost the connection there. So say that one more time. I don't know if I don't know if anybody online heard that. So I don't know if it froze up for everybody. But you were explaining that you had to self close it.
I did. Typically, what I do is do a mobile notary, right?
Okay.
If it's, but there have been some deals where with the amount that I'm paying the person was so small, I just decided
Oh,
to go on a limb and either have them just mail me a deed, or I mailed them a little bit of money and then they mailed me back the deed. And so far, I've been lucky. I haven't been burned so far. Like for example, I was telling you about the 2 5-acre properties I bought for $150 each. I
yeah.
just kind of went out on a limb, right? I sent them a little bit of money. I think I sent them $100, and then they sent me $75, and they sent me the deed, and I sent them the balance.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right?
Have you ever had problems with the deeds where you got the deeds wrong? You had to go back and fix it. I mean, how do you learn all of the stuff that the ins and outs of different types of deeds and different legal scenarios? Where you ever had properties where you went to purchase the property and the person that you thought was the owner is not the owner, and there's a they said their sister was dead, but the sister's alive, and she's on there too, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, totally. I've done all kinds of things. I've done things wrong, and it's always just a learning process. Like in fact, even as recently as a few days ago, I got chewed out by a recorder from a particular county. She was like, "Well, you filled out the forms incorrectly, and blah 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 blah, and I'm going to send it everything back, and I want you to do it correctly." And it's like, "Okay, fine. You just do it again, and you send it back to them." I remember one time I had a person call me, right? And they're like, "Yes, I am the owner of this 40-acre property. And yes, I accept your offer." It was like I'd offered them like $4,000 or something for it. And they're like, "Yes, I accept their offer," right? So I sent everything to the mobile notary. And the mobile notary, I arranged a time for the mobile notary to meet with this person and to sign to do the paperwork. And the person on the name on the deed was a very, very unusual name. So I thought, okay, well, it's probably the person. And I said, okay, are you the person with this address who owns this property? Long story short, when the person got out their driver's license, the mobile notary noticed there was a different last name.
Mm. So she saved you, but
She saved my butt.
Okay, cool. What about tools? Technology tools. What do you find has been helpful? Do you use a lot of different tools? Do you have a CRM to track all of your properties and your contacts and the different the different steps that a piece of property may be on? How do you track all of that?
Well, I kind of do it old school. I think CRMs are great, but I just have been doing everything via Google Docs. Like
Okay,
for example, I have a long document with all because I have so many properties and so many properties are listed here and so many properties are listed there and this property is on terms and blah blah blah. There's no way I can remember all of them. So I keep it all in Google Docs and I can keep track of each particular property.
so you have probably a protocol for what information you want to keep, and how do you know to check back to see if the deed's been sent back from the county, you know, registered deeds office or whatever it is where you get it? How do you track that though? Because Google Docs or Excel doesn't really have a like a reminder to say, hey, you need to check. Here's a to-do list. This is something that's coming due. You need to get it done. How do you keep track of that stuff?
Well, there's a lot of ways of doing it. I mean, you can put reminders. I don't do this, but what you can do is you can put reminders in Outlook. I use Google Calendar a lot,
Okay.
right? I love Google Calendar, so I'm kind of a Google guy.
Okay.
I love that, and I have my Word document. Well, not Word, but Google Docs document that has all my information in it. I can keep track of stuff that way. Um, that's
Okay.
how I do
Cool.
it. That's how I do it.
If people want to get in touch with you, how's the best way to get? Do you have a website? Do you have?
Yeah,
Uh, Once you put your website in the chat room, type it
sure.
in there for us. If you guys want to go check them out, I'm sure you're probably open to networking with other investors that we can help each other and exchange value for value. And somehow, I mean, I definitely want to get with you. Martha
Totally.
Daisley, if you're still in the room, contact me. I don't know what your email is. I don't know if your name's in the email, but I got an idea for you. You said you purchase. You're kind of like the private investor person now because you're busy. I got something I want to run past you that might help you out. If you can get in contact with me, if you got the email that you got from registering, you can contact me through that. So, um, oh wait a minute, I've got a bunch of emails here. I mean, a bunch of. Uh, okay, so Nick was asking, what's the distinction? Is there a key distinction or difference you found between Jack and Land Academy?
Yeah, Land Academy focuses more on the blind offers. And that's a very valid strategy and a very good strategy. It's primarily sending out like a lot, like researching up front and sending out a lot of offers, and then you're buying land. You're just buying stuff cash, right? Jack does have a component where it's blind offers. Jack does teach that, but Jack, a lot of the guys in Jack's group that I've spoken to, right? There's more of the neutral letters, right, where you don't put an actual dollar amount on the letter, which is also a very valid strategy because there's certain, especially if you're not familiar with an area. So it's just different strokes for different folks. They're both good. They're both good strategies. And I have to let you know that I did sign up as an affiliate of Jack's program. So just so you know that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah,
fair. Hey, it got you where you got you way down the path.
yeah.
Well, good deal. All right, so Sanju is making one comment, and I'm probably going to about start to wrap it up here, guys. My understanding is Jack Bosch program uses a lot of neutral offers, which have higher response rate, and you work out things on the phone. Okay, that makes
Yes.
sense. Yeah, I can
That
see that.
that's not his only strategy, but that's um, a lot of the guys in that part of the land flipping world do send out the neutral letters, and there is you can work it out on the phone. I mean, I moved over to primarily blind offers because I work a day job and I just didn't have so much time to talk to people, and I need to know like rapidly whether they're motivated or not. In fact, Seth when I first got started, one thing I took from Seth was just the idea of just determining whether a person is motivated fast, and if they're not, getting them off the phone.
Yeah, he does do that, don't he? He don't want to
Yeah,
spend any time with them. There's some other people. I think Justin, maybe Adam. I can't remember which one it is, but they're both. Maybe both of them. They're like, look, if they're not coming back to me, I don't have time for them. And so sometimes they call back several times and they're not really interested. They're just kicking tires. So, all right. So Sanju says I'm a phone meister. Okay, you're probably right, man. I love the phone. I feel like there's a phone, like you should be able to have like a permanent attachment. You click your phone in and go. Now, I do like working on the phone. But anyway, man, I really enjoyed this interview. You had some really good stuff. I really appreciate you taking the time to enlighten us. You've given me a different perspective about networking. I've always believed in networking. I just didn't think that there would be that many people in the real estate world that are in this business that really would want to network, because they're always, trying to play everything close to the vest. I do think that I think we should have a bigger crowd coming in here. I don't know why we don't have more people from Land Academy coming in here and watching. Not for me. I mean, I'm just a noob. I just like to ask questions as a newbie, and I get all my questions answered generally. And look, these things go almost we'll hit 2 hours by the time we sign off. I do want to say, hey guys, next week we have Mike Marshall. If you've ever heard Stephen Bottella talk about Mike, the guy that came up with the infill lot reports, that guy, he used to work for the county government for 15 years or so. So he's inside. He knows all about zoning and land use regulations. And then he became a consultant and went out consulting to companies that buy and sell single family homes and multifamily homes. And he consulted to them on how to get the best use out of land use, or, what can I do with this land? And he shows you how to walk that minefield and figure out the best, highest use for property. Now he started investing in 2016, and he's part of the Land Academy. So we've got a guy that's gone from the government side all the way to the entrepreneur side, all about how to get the best use of land, how to make sure you don't make mistakes, how to do your research and due diligence, and a lot more. So that's our next week's program. If you guys know people who I should interview, by the way, I need you to use your networking skill, Adam, and maybe hook me up with some of your folks that might be willing to come on and be interviewed. I'm always looking I'd like to have a guest every single week. After next week, I don't have anything on the calendar right now, so I've got to reach out and find some. I've got a lot of people in the bullpen who said, yeah, I'd like to do it. I just hadn't been able to nail everybody down. So anyway, if you guys got some people out there that that's been successful like Adam here that has a story to tell, please let me know. I'll reach out to him. Sanju, he's my go-to. He's actually probably responsible for at least 3 interviews that I've got scheduled. But I need more, Sanju. Come on, man. You become the phone meister or email meister and get the thing going. Any last words that you'd like to leave our crowd?
Yes, thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for interviewing me. And I'm always interested in learning more and networking with more people. And let's stay in touch.
Sure. Thanks.
And
Appreciate that. Yeah.
I hope you all have a wonderful night.
Thanks, Adam. Hey, just to let you know, from time to time, I will be doing like a panel discussion where I'll have 3 or 4 of the people I've interviewed in the past all come on together.
Yeah.
And have like a panel discussion. That'll happen after a while, after we get enough interviews under our belt. So I would be hoping that maybe you could be a part of that panel. I'll let you know when that happens. Reach out anytime if you have a super success story or something great happens or something terrible happens and you want to do an update. We can do like a mini interview and do like a pre-recorded, like, hey, here's an update from Adam Harrison. Here's something he's done new. So yes, Gino, this is recorded. If you registered for this by registering for the webinar night, you will get an automatic email tomorrow. And it will be a replay to this program. Adam was on Jack Bosch's panel, right? Were you on his panel?
I was on his panel.
What kind of panel? I don't know what that is.
Oh, well, there was an event that Jack Bosch had that was in the LA area, and there was a panel of successful investors, and I was on that panel.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool,
Yeah,
man. Awesome,
yeah.
man. You didn't tell me that.
I should have told you that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, one last thing I'll leave you with. There's
Okay.
different philosophies in terms of buying and selling. I what I personally have found successful is really being. I've learned from Jack and I've learned from Steve, and like on my website, one of my websites, sellmylandfastforcash.com. Right,
Okay.
I'm very blunt about the fact that I'm not going to pay people $1 million for their land, and I guess I might lose deals from that. But what I find is the people that actually approach me and I talk to are motivated. So it's
Cool.
just something to think about.
So, in other words, it's like a lead generation program for yourself. It drives traffic to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. It's funny because one of the lines on that site it took verbatim from something that Steve Butella said, and the other
Okay.
one comes from something Seth Williams said. Right.
Cool. Good for
So
you,
it's
man.
cool.
You're
Yeah,
learning and
I'm learning,
reprogramming.
trying to
Sounds good.
reprogram.
Hey, Adam, thanks a lot. Hey, guys,
Thank
be
you.
looking for the replay link. Appreciate you being here supporting Adam and all your fabulous questions. We'll see you guys next week with Mike Marshall. Same place, same time. Adios.
Adios.